computer security. We will discuss the software and hardware security in this session. We will start by discussing the impact of cybercrime in Canada, describe information technologies that are used in computer crimes, explain the major security threats, define the information security triad, describe the information security tools used in safeguarding computers and networks, and outline the process to secure yourself digitally. So let's start by defining what is cybercrime. Cybercrime is an illegal activity that is committed with the use of a computer or where a computer is the object of the crime. So with the increase in use of digital technology by Canadians, so too is the prevalence of digital crimes and impact of those crimes. So annual cybercrime costs in upward of $5 billion annually, and on an average every attack is about $7 million to the business, and the cost to recover from that attack annually is upward of 1.2 billion dollars. Now, looking at these costs, Canadian businesses' annual market size for cybersecurity alone is $11 billion. One in every 5 business has been attacked by these cyber criminals every year, and only 50% of these attacks are actually reported. And interestingly, more than businesses making use of the AI technology, the cyber criminals are using it more often and more prominently. That 90% of the attacks currently are AI supported. So with these numbers, we understand it's a significant concern in Canada, and I believe at the individual level, there is nobody in Canada who has never been attacked or attempted to attack by these cyber criminals. And the cybercrime may not necessarily happen with the computers and software and networks. It could be through SMS or it could be through a voice call as well. So cybercrime is all pervading challenge in the country. So let's look at what are the different types of technologies that are used to commit the crime. The first one is the identity theft, wherein somebody's personal information is used to gain access to that person authorized data and information. It could be a password, it could be a access control card of somebody, and it is done without the knowledge of the person. Another type of cybercrime which is easier comparatively or does not really involve technology, it is the social engineering. In case of social engineering, the individual having the rights, authority and access to the system is either lured or deceived to willingly do as per the cyber criminals instructions, and so everything in the system is genuine and right, but the person did not do it in the right state of mind or did it under the influence of the cyber criminal. So it is more of a psychological attack on the individual rather than on the hardware and software systems. Hacking is the direct attack on the computer systems through which a unauthorized access is gained to the data and information, sometimes money, illegally. Another is phishing. Now, phishing is where somebody creates a sense of urgency or fear in the mind of the person being attacked, and an email or maybe a information or a SMS is sent, and wherein the person is coerced or psychologically guided or deceived into clicking onto the links, or maybe somebody might say, hey, your account is hacked, click here and reset your password. That would be a mechanism through which the cyber criminals can get the password of the person. Other thing is spoofing. Now, spoofing is where everything looks genuine except that the email or the person's interacting with the person getting attacked sends the email by masking the email. So the email and everything appears genuine, and the sender also appears genuine, but it has been masked to deceive the person. So in phishing, the email or the sender is not masking himself or herself, but creating a sense of fear and urgency to act. In spoofing, everything appears genuine. So those are very riskier things to detect and deal with. And finally, the software piracy. Software piracy is where the software is unauthorizedly accessed, or multiple copies are made with despite not having the copyright. But much of this problem has been solved now by making the software available on the cloud and only through subscription and the several multi-factor authentication control to put in place to limit the case of piracy. So piracy not only remains a core area of software, it extends to music, it extends to video, and anything which is a intellectual property. So these are all examples of crimes that are facilitated with the aid of computer technology. Now, what are the mechanisms using these technology through which the cybercrime is committed? It could be a malware, because once, let's say, somebody is spoofed or phished, or if somebody hacks, what do they actually do? They may install a malware, which could be either a virus or a worm, which is, virus and worm are same, except that in virus you need to have a executable installed on the machine. Worm does not require that. Another is spyware, a software which sits on your system and keeps on relaying the critical, crucial information to the cyber criminal. And finally, the ransomware. Now, ransomware operates in 2-3 different mechanisms. One is gaining access to the machine and then putting a block on it, and then asking for money to grant the access back to the genuine user. Other is simple denial of service, that a website or a Facebook page is kind of completely blocked by the cyber criminal or uploaded with malicious content. And sometimes this can be extended to multiple computers in an organization simultaneously, which is called as the DDoS, which is distributed denial of service. So these are the nature and mechanisms and the tools of cybercrime. So how do we deal with it? To deal with it, we have a information security triad, which is also called a CIA triad because it involves three building blocks, three main components: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, what is confidentiality? Confidentiality is, if somebody need to know, then only it should be made accessible to the person. Integrity involves a whole range of challenges, something accidental, or maybe let's say power surge, or maybe hardware failure, violating the integrity of the system, to the person who is authorized losing the integrity. It could be a hardware integrity loss, that somebody may come in and damage the hardware. It could be a software integrity loss through the various software mechanisms. And finally, the availability, which has to do with the of course the access right, but for what time frame the person should have accessible. If the person does not need the information beyond a certain time, it should be revoked. So with these three main components of security, we look at what are the tools that can help guarantee these CIAs. Organizations can choose from a variety of tools. Each of those tools can be utilized as a part of an overall information security policy. These can be categorized as either authentication, prevention, and detection. When we speak about authentication, there are primarily three different aspects that we use to grant authentication. And those three aspects are something that the user know, or something that the user possesses or have, or something that the user himself or herself is. So when we speak about something that the user knows, we speak about passwords, we speak about out of wallet questions, or the questions which only the user would know, such as where did they vacation for the first time, which airline did they fly for the first time, or which street they grew up in, etc., which only the user would know. So using this try, we verify whether the person is genuine or not. Something they have, it could be a key, it could be a access card, or it could be a software security token. So that's another mechanism to authenticate. And finally, third one, which is very robust and strong, which is what they are. It will involve a thumb touch ID impression. It could be an iris scan, etc. So any biometric markers are the ones that can be used for authentication. Practically what we do is we don't authenticate using only one of these mechanisms. We take a combination of these put together to authenticate someone. And when we take more than one factors for authentication, it is called as multi-factor authentication, which is MFA. So it is your password plus some security code, etc. Next is the prevention. So how do we prevent unauthorized access or loss? It involves, first one is access controls. Access control could be software, whether the person has the permission to access system or not, It could be hardware, wherein we may put the hardware itself in the lock and key or access control. We may put a security guard, or we may do encryption. Encryption essentially means the data or the information is coded into something which is incomprehensible by somebody who has the access to the data. But when certain transformations are undertaken using the decryption key, one can actually access the original data. This is typically done when the data moves from one machine to the another, whether it could be a client to server or one client to the another client. Other thing is the firewalls. Firewalls is whitelisting the IP addresses which can access, or whitelisting the set of people who can do it, or maybe making a role-based access controls. So firewall filters whether this person has a authorization to access the system or not. Next is the antivirus programs, which looks at any abnormal behavior of the system, any subroutines that are being run, or any unknown software running in the background while the user is using the system. And finally, take the backups, creating the multiple copies of the data or the information. Next is the detection and security policies. So we call it as intrusion detection system that can be placed on the network for security purposes. And IDS does not add any additional security. Instead, it provides the capability to identify if the network is being attacked. It could involve physical security by locking the hardware, installing the security cameras, putting the locks, hardware locks on the hardware itself, scanning the environment for any unusual activities, and the training of the people. Also setting up the acceptable use policies, how much of data can be exchanged, or how many emails are originating from the system. So looking for those abnormal signals. Now, having said this, there is no way to have 100% security. We understand there are three building blocks of security policy framework, which is C, I, and A. Then there are mechanisms to guarantee CIA, but despite all these mechanisms, there could still be some lapses that can happen, and something can possibly fail and may not guarantee 100% security. So how do we ensure or guarantee that such things do not happen? So we can look at, for businesses, we can think of developing an incident response plan, updating the softwares or the operating systems, which are updated regularly by the software vendors who provide security patches. It could be ensuring that the configuration of the devices and the software is correctly set, so that no unwanted exposure is made available to the unauthorized users. Training the people, explaining them the possibilities that can happen, creating stronger authentications, creating policies on the users and particularly the mobile devices. There could be like scanning and securing people entering and exiting the premises if they are carrying any unauthorized object out of the premises, setting up virtual private network and creating only one single exposure to the external world, which is monitored through a firewall. One can create the geo defense mechanisms, like is the person logging in from the usual login locations, or do we expect the person to be at XYZ location to do certain things or not. Moving the things to the secure cloud, and finally the portability of the hardware. If the device is portable, then it needs to be secured well. For the individual level, one can regularly update their passwords, update all the softwares on the machine on a regular basis, use antivirus programs, keep an eye on the Wi-Fi, monitoring the Wi-Fi and looking for any abnormal device getting connected to the Wi-Fi or who are trying to connect to your system, etc. And always using the more than one factor authentication, using long passwords, and finally being alert and be suspicious about anything which is other than the normal. So this is the overall framework of how we deal with the computer security. Let's summarize what we discussed and what are the key takeaways here. As computing and networking resources have become more an integral part of business, they have also become target of criminals. This needs to be understood and expect that the attack will likely happen, if not has already happened. Cybercrime is an illegal act that is committed with the use of a computer or where a computer is the object of the crime. The CIA triangle is composed of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. It is important to consider that when developing security policies or considering security tools. Tools for security can be categorized as authentication, prevention, and detection. Authentication can be accomplished by identifying someone through one or more of three factors: something they know, something they have, and something they are. Passwords are something they know, tokens are something they have, and biometrics are something they are. And there is no way to ensure 100% security, but steps can be taken to be more secure. Finally, if at all an attack happens, first thing is to inform the relevant people and take the help of the professionals who know how to deal with it and how to recover from that situation. Thank you.